Hi, so this is using data visualization to determine what variables have an effect on quality of sleep. So in task one, we were just asked to locate a data set with at least 8 variables, and I found this data set on Kaggle, where a study was conducted where participants were asked about several different sleep factors impacting their quality of sleep. And so the dependent variable is quality of sleep, and then the independent variables were age, sleep duration, physical activity levels, stress, heart rate, daily steps. And then we had 4 categories, which were gender, occupation, BMI, and whether or not the participant had a sleep disorder. So then to start, what I wanted to do in test two was just identify the general distribution of the data sets of the quality of scores, regardless of any of the independent variables. So this would just give me an idea of where the data set fell as a whole, and then I can make some assumptions based on that. So then looking at the distribution, we find that we have a median score of 7 with a standard deviation of 1.2 and a mean score of 7.3. So that means that 66% of the participants are going to fall between a score of 6 and 8, which gives us a right skewed data set. So now looking at our numerical variables, you want to observe how these have an impact with the dependent variable. And to do that, we can use an R2 score or an R squared score. So basically, the higher the score is, the more that the linear relationship is present between the independent variable and the dependent variable. And the lower it is, the less that there's likely to be a relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable, or at the very least, the data doesn't explain any of the variability between the points. So we looked at age, sleep duration, physical activity, stress level, heart rate, and daily steps. And what we found is that we can rank it in order of the greatest impact to least impact, you being stress level, sleep duration, heart rate, age, physical activity levels, and daily steps. And what we can find is that stress level has a strong negative correlation, and sleep duration has a strong positive correlation, whereas heart rate and age were the next two with a moderate to low impact, where heart rate had a moderate negative impact, and then age has a moderate positive impact. So then I wanted to see if that held true within each categories, and what we found is that it does. So let's just look at gender, for example. We find that the average quality of sleep per gender is higher by females just based on the subjective scores, but this makes sense compared to the rankings of the variables that we found because females exhibit lower stress. A higher duration of sleep, a higher age in the study, and then a lower heart rate. And this aligns with the respective positive to negative relationships between those independent variables and the dependent variable, as we found from the R2 score in the previous assessment. And so what we did find is that this holds true for every single grouping category. Again, by occupation, we can see engineers have the highest, where sales reps have the lowest, but then these same metrics still hold true for stress level, sleep duration, age, and heart rate. Daily steps and physical activity we're not as worried about because they had a very low R square score, so that we would expect that they don't have much impact on the dependent variable. So we went through and then I checked this for every single category, and the pattern still held true. So what that tells you is, irrespective of what category you're in, the most important metrics to improve your sleep are going to be stress level, sleep duration, heart rate, age, physical activity level, and your daily steps in that order. So to improve this, all I've done is I've taken, instead of having multiple graphs for each one, I plotted all the axes into a singular plot, so that way you can see them all side by side in a grid without having to scroll through multiple plots. And I've done this for the independent variables and each of the categorical variables. In addition to for the categorical variables, I also made it a horizontal bar chart instead of a vertical bar chart. As you can see, you have to kind of rotate your head to look at the labels, and it makes it easier if it's horizontal. And the last thing I did is I put it in ascending order so that you can always have it be from highest to lowest to make comparisons easy. So that ends up looking like this for the independent variables, and then for the dependent variables, it ends up looking like this. So this has been a study on the effects of sleep category, or effects of variables on sleep, and thank you very much for watching.